final years of the Ottoman Empire was genocide. Turkey says the declaration opens a deep wound that undermines mutual trust, and it summoned the U.S. ambassador to Ankara. California Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff.
To our brothers and sisters, our mothers and fathers, our grandparents and great-grandparents in the Armenian community, let me just say how grateful I am to all of your efforts over many decades to bring this day about.
Schiff's California district includes a large Armenian population. The family of a black man killed by sheriff's deputies in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, have joined the chorus demanding that body cam video be released. 42-year-old Andrew Brown was shot and killed when a warrant was being served during a traffic stop. Brown family attorney Harry Daniels.
This is a moment in time that we have to seize and take back accountability and transparency.
The mayor and city council of Elizabeth City plan to file a court brief on Monday requesting Pasquotank County Sheriff Tommy Wooten release the video. Wooten has promised to do so, but didn't say when. At the southern border, illegal crossings continue to grow. Fox's Casey Stego is in Laredo, Texas.
Apprehensions just keep going up, including the number of so-called stash houses that are being busted. That's a place that's used by smugglers both on the U.S. and on the Mexico side to essentially stash large groups of migrants until their fees are paid or to further evade Border Patrol.
More than 87 were arrested near Laredo at a stash house this week. America is listening to Fox News.
Indeed is the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post, screen, and interview. All on Indeed. Get your quality shortlist of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description faster. Only pay for the candidates that meet must-have qualifications. According to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Get started right now with the free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Fox. Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through June 30th. Terms and conditions apply.
Republican Congressman Steve Scalise is speaking out against the FBI's characterization of the 2017 shooting at a congressional baseball game as a suicide by cop.
He actually had a list of Republican members of Congress in his pocket who he was targeting to kill. For the FBI to have classified it as that, it's disturbing, it's offensive, and it's inaccurate. And so we're asking that the FBI correct this record.
Shooter James Hodgkinson was shot by Capitol Police and died later at a hospital. The latest commuters to the International Space Station have arrived at their unique work site.
The population swelled to 11 early Saturday with the arrival of 4 more astronauts. 2 Americans, 1 French, and 1 Japanese were rocketed aloft inside the SpaceX Dragon capsule Friday from Cape Canaveral. After a successful docking, the quartet received a warm greeting high above the Indian Ocean.
Welcome to the International Space Station.
Those 4 new arrivals will spend the next 6 months on the ISS. The 4 they're replacing will head home Wednesday and splash down in the Gulf of Mexico. Karen McHugh, Fox News.
The Anchorage Police Department will have its first ever black chief of police when Kenneth McCoy starts Monday. McCoy, currently the deputy chief, replaces Justin Dahl, who retires over the summer. A New York City train conductor returns more than $100,000 worth of jewelry after finding it left behind on his train. Fox's Chris.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
California is reeling from Super Rainbow Percival, which left a trail of devastation along the West Coast. A luminous band of destruction touched down in Santa Barbara. Percival set a record as the most powerful rainbow in U.S. history, with at least 30 confirmed fatalities and damage estimates in the billions. The vividly saturated colors seared through homes and roads, charring everything in its path. Those exposed to the rainbow's fury say they're lucky to be alive.
The sky was completely blue. All of a sudden, it's filled with brilliant hues of red and indigo.
All I can say is when I was a kid, rainbows didn't cut people in half.
Meteorologists say that Percival is just the latest in a pattern of increasingly dangerous rainbows, and that they're only growing stronger as global temperatures rise. Percival also comes on the heels of some extreme weather phenomena overseas. Authorities in the Philippines are still searching for thousands in the aftermath of mega sunset Wilma.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live? Free Talk Live. Is it live? Is it talk? Is it free? Well, it's all three of those things. Hence the name, Free Talk Live. The phones are open. I see somebody calling. You're going to have to wait for me to screen you. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 is the phone number. I am expecting a special guest host tonight, and I don't know if they're on the line with me now. I'm expecting the intergalactic Space King. Are you online? Can you hear me?
'Tis I.
Oh,
Can you hear me, Captain?
Oh, intergalactic Space King. We have you. Can you hear me?
It sounds like we have a severe delay, Captain.
Indeed, it does sound as if they're... I mean, you are calling from arguably some other galaxy, and so, of course, hailing frequencies may be delayed. We're unsure of how this works.
Well, I think we need to spend a little time doing some audio tech work, and maybe we can try this again later.
Okay, it's your call. I'm fine either way. I have plenty of content. We were just, of course, hoping to get the perspectives of the intergalactic Space King tonight. But if we're going to suffer the delay, perhaps it is best to bring you back another time. Big delay.
Thank you, Captain. I wish everyone the best. Mark signing off.
All right, we'll talk to you later, Intergalactic Space King. That is, well, I'm just appointed. I'm not disappointed. I'm just appointed. I might be whelmed. I'm not sure. But I was hoping to get the Intergalactic Space King on the show tonight for various reasons, most of which revolve around the fact that I have a bit of a theme for tonight's show. And that theme, of course, well, I say of course, but you don't actually know already. I'm going to announce it now so you know, is Bitcoin and guns. These are some of the favorite topics of, well, libertarians, anarchists, voluntarists, folks who value freedom and think that they should be exercising their rights as much as possible. And so we're going to talk about many things related to that. I have something here that says, new gun control bill is expected to pass that requires background checks to purchase ammunition. That's right. New gun control bill expected to pass requires background checks to purchase ammunition. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But just to kind of give you an overview of what I've got in store, I've got another one here that says, Dad who homeschools kids teaches them about guns and Bitcoin. That's right. Dad who homeschools kids teaches them about guns and Bitcoin. I mean, that sounds like, well, no pun intended, a kick-ass dad. We've also got another headline. Cryptocurrency seeks to lure firearms companies amid threat that banks will cut off the gun industry. Now, we already know that the legal marijuana industry suffers from, we'll call it, bank rejection. That is to say that a whole bunch of people doing business legally in their states where recreational and medicinal marijuana have been legalized, one or the other, or both, depending on the state. But banks refuse to bank them for a variety of reasons. Now, I've been a large proponent of saying, hey, you legal marijuana industries should be looking at cryptocurrency for your banking needs. But it doesn't seem to have caught on with the legal marijuana industry as far as, inter-industry commerce is concerned. That is to say, between the growers, the distributors, and the retailers for, their transaction needs. I don't know why. The benefits are all there. The speed is there, depending on the type and, frequency of the transactions. There's many cryptocurrencies that would suit them. Not very difficult to transduce, the regular U.S. dollars into the cryptocurrency, legally, of course. So we'll see what happens there. But I found this really interesting because apparently the firearms industry is under the threat of being cut off by banks. And that is very disturbing if you value freedom and rights. Also in store tonight, we have this headline. You can now print an entire semi-automatic rifle at home, 3D style. The total cost, including the 3D printer, is about $350. That's right. You can now 3D print an entire semi-automatic rifle at home. The total cost, including the 3D printer, is about $350. We'll find out more about what they have to say about this interesting development in the 3D guns printing industry. But also in store tonight, we have, why are lifetime gun bans being imposed on tax cheats? And these are nonviolent crimes unrelated to guns. And it seems like these shouldn't deprive people of their right to bear arms for the rest of their lives. If somebody makes a mistake on some tax forms, or even if they, go further than that, this has no bearing on their right to keep and bear arms to protect themselves and their family and their property. Why are lifetime gun bans being imposed on tax cheats? We can talk more about that, of course. Since we have not been able to successfully get the intergalactic Space King, I will have a surprise guest host here, probably in segment 2 or segment 3. So in the meantime, I'll be your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass of LordKickass.com. If you're not familiar with me, you can go to LordKickass.com and check out some of my parody music. That's right, like Weird Al Yankovic, except I don't pull any punches. That is to say, some of my stuff has some cussing in it, but some of it doesn't. So hopefully you can appreciate the 12-year-old humor that seems to be prevalent in what I do. They're all professionally recorded and professionally produced with varying degrees of professionalism thrown in, some more than others, some less than others. but please feel free to visit LordKickass.com. Guns and Bitcoin is the theme. My flabber is gasted about this headline about a new gun control bill expected to pass, requiring background checks to purchase ammunition. I've never heard of such a thing before. My flabber is definitely gasted, as I've said. This South Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz and a Connecticut U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal have gotten together and were given massive coverage in the media this week to push their new tyrannical gun control law, the ammunition background check of 2001, which would require all citizens who wish to purchase ammo for their already legal firearms to undergo background checks first. 603-283-6160 is the number. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Everyone's always talking about buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. That's boring as hell. How about earning some Bitcoin? Getting paid with it. That's the way. It is money after all. If you want to earn Bitcoin at your business, AnyPay is the way to do it. Your customers will love it. Everyone in town will talk about your store being the Bitcoin store, and it's just fun. Get our free app and start earning Bitcoin at your business. AnyPayX.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk program where you can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. Open phones. We've got somebody waiting to be on the air. We'll get to him in just a minute. The telephone number that you need if you want to join our conversations tonight is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. That's the phone number here in the studio for you to join us live on air at Free Talk Live. Now, a couple of things. We screen our own calls here, so if you call, you're probably going to have to wait on hold for a little bit until we can get to screening you. Generally, that happens during the commercial breaks. We apologize. That's just the way it is until, some point in the future when maybe they're auto-screened, maybe we hire a screener, something like that. But that's just the way it is for now. So keep that in mind. But again, 603-283-6160 if you would like to get on the airwaves, take control, and talk about whatever is on your mind. So we attempted to have the Intergalactic Space King on from some remote galaxy. We're not really sure where, but it seems that the hailing frequencies, through different galaxies and that kind of a thing didn't quite work as planned. We have some more testing to do. So instead of myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, and the Intergalactic Space King being your host tonight, it's going to be myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, and joining me,
it's Bonnie.
Hello, Bonnie.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Did you do a segment by yourself?
I did. Well, we had the Intergalactic Space King, but the delay was not going to work for us. So, he could hear everything and we could hear him back, but we had to wait a good, say 5 seconds or so for that transaction.
You would think that he would have serfs that could work on that for him.
Well, hopefully the Intergalactic Space King is sending, a bunch of, intergalactic technicians to, the Earth to help us figure out what these problems are.
That could take light years.
It could. Well, hopefully not. But at any rate, tonight's theme, Bonnie, just so you know, I mentioned it at the top of the last segment. It's Bitcoin and guns. I know. Your favorite topics.
Well, I love Bitcoin. I don't like guns that much.
You don't love guns? Well, so we've got a few headlines, and I'll just recap them for everybody. We've got new gun control bill expected to pass, requires background checks to purchase ammunition.
That wasn't already a thing ever?
No.
Oh, wow.
I don't know about other states, but the last couple of states I've been in, if I needed ammunition, I just walk into the local whatever mart, the store, the ammo store, the gun store, Walmart, things like that. They carry ammunition. I just go up to the shelf. I look for the ammunition I need. I get the ammunition, or I ask the guy behind the counter, hey, I need some, 9mm or whatever, and they sell me ammunition.
You just have to be 21 or something?
Yeah, or maybe not even that. I think possibly 16 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Depending on the state, of course.
So is this a United States, like a federal law that's coming out, or like New Hampshire?
No, this is federal For sure. There's a couple of people who are sponsoring it. So before we get to talking about that, though, we have Scott calling from Florida. Scott, you are on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yes, thank you, Captain Kickass, Bonnie. Good evening. This is what on my mind. Regarding the aftermath of the Derek Chauvin trial, whatever that's going to be, they'll find them guilty, but I don't know to what extent. Regardless of that, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Barack Obama, and Maxine Waters are deliberately going to use this as a pretext to ignite a race war, if you will. In other words, they're never going to be pleased with the outcome, and they're going to stir the pot. And furthermore, George Soros, the Anti-Defamation League, the New York Times, the Washington Post, are pulling all the strings to foment this race war. Now, Soros is an international Jewish banker and communist who funds Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And Soros and the ADL tells the FBI, and this is a fact, it's not an opinion, the ADL dictates to the FBI to prosecute right-wing groups like the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys because they are supposedly racist and anti-Semitic, but there's a double standard. The FBI doesn't go after Antifa and Black Lives Matter and communist movements that are funded by Soros. So it just shows you how phony it is. And as I said, Sharpton and Jackson and Obama and company want a race war so that for twofold. Number one, they want to destroy white Christian America. And number two, they want to establish a communist government. And you said something a moment before, about 10 minutes ago. You were talking about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and you were also talking about Blumenthal, Connecticut senator. Why would that surprise me that two prominent Jewish officials would be against gun control? They've been advocating gun control, the ADL, for many years now. Silence us and disarm us.
Well,
that's a government position. And you know what the government fears most of all, Scott? The government fears the blacks, the whites, the Jews, the Asians, you name the race, the midgets, whatever. You name the subset of human beings. The government fears most all of these people getting together and arming themselves and cooperating against them. Thank you for the call tonight, Scott.
You know what's confusing to me? I keep seeing so many memes about this and stuff, and I just haven't seen any race riots since the Chauvin verdict. So why is everybody still thinking that's going to happen? Like, I don't know anybody who's going to riot about that.
Some people just have it ingrained in their brain that, oh my God, the race wars are coming. The race war, like the division, the propaganda has been sown so well and so mightily into some people's heads that whenever they see something, oh my gosh, it's the race war, it's coming, oh my God, and they freak out about it, right? It's like, no. What you need to do is recognize that human beings are human beings. Not everyone is equal to everyone else. Everyone has their fortes and their specialties, things they're good at. And cooperation between all of the people across the human spectrum. I don't care if you're short, fat, tall, skinny, white, black, green, purple, blue, indigo, or violet. If we all cooperate and all work together to make humanity peaceful and voluntary, government goes away.
There's just no need for them if the people knew their real power.
That's true. That's very true. It's a very small subset of people who have, quote, the control, unquote. And it's the continued obedience of humankind that furthers their grip. So at any rate, we were talking about this article. This is from the freethoughtproject.com. This is by Matt Agrist. South Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Connecticut U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal were given massive coverage in the media this week to push their new tyrannical gun control law. The ammunition background check of 2021 would require citizens who wish to purchase ammo for their already legal firearms to undergo background checks first. This is one of the lamest things I have ever heard in my life. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live on the way.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Markets went into a frenzy today after the price of money suddenly skyrocketed to $90 a dollar. Onion reporters spoke to economics professor Mark Cosgrave about the soaring cost of U.S. currency and the impact of increasingly unpredictable dollar-to-dollar rates.
Right now, money prices are steeply rising with no signs of slowing down. This morning alone, the price of dollars nearly tripled, with 1 cent worth approximately $6. That's exponentially higher than even a week ago when money was trading at roughly $53 on the dollar. To put it bluntly, we're now in the midst of a national economic crisis.
According to Cosgrave, the abrupt spike in dollar prices initially caused many Americans to hold on to their money, hoping that the $90 cost of dollars would soon dip back down. But as prices continued to climb, investors panicked and began purchasing as much money as possible.
But with the cost of quarters hitting $4.97 and the $5 bill jumping to a 12-year high of $372, the days when you could get $30 or $40 for just a couple of bucks are unfortunately long gone.
This is the Onion News Network.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. The live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about anything that's on your mind. The telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
It's Bonnie.
And we've been talking about, or attempting to talk about, this article from the Free Thought Project. A new gun control bill is expected to pass that requires background checks to purchase ammunition. The law is also called Jamie's Law, named in honor of Jamie Gutenberg, one of 17 victims in the mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in 2018. On Thursday, the congresswoman from Florida took to shamelessly exploiting the Parkland tragedy to push even more senseless gun control measures. No person should endure the agonizing pain of losing someone they love to gun violence.
The worst part about this, I don't even care if I sound conspiracy theory, is like the government probably had something to do with giving someone ammunition or like radicalizing someone who ended up shooting the school, and then they use it to go on and be like, nobody should have to go through that.
She goes on to say, families in towns and cities across the country who have been touched by this agonizing epidemic are joining Fred Gutenberg and other gun safety advocates to demand Congress address this public health crisis. Jamie's Law is a crucial piece of the multifaceted approach needed to end the gun violence epidemic, closing the ammunition loophole and requiring background checks for ammunition purchases can save lives. Now,
I'm tired of everything is a health crisis.
I have such a problem with everything that this person just said.
Me too.
Because, again, if they want this behavior to stop with citizens that live within the borders, quote unquote, that they control, then I require and request that they show us how it's done by putting down their frickin' guns first. Put away your bombs, put away your tanks, put away your guns, your SWAT teams, your Bearcats, your battering rams, and show us how it's done. Because if you can't do it, then you have no right to tell us how to do it. Let's go to some of your calls and thoughts. Let's go to Randy in Arkansas. Randy, you're on Free Talk Live.
Well, I've got the schizophrenia, and I've noticed that all it is a blood pressure disorder.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And my medicine controls my blood pressure, and in the Equinox, I take more medicine than I do in the Solstice. And maybe everybody that's got blood pressure is mentally ill. I've had a mental health professional tell me that most of the people who are mentally ill never get help. And that's my thoughts on the matter.
So it seems to you that managing this by way of, like you said, taking, more or less during the equinox and the solstice and just managing your blood pressure helps you tremendously?
Yes, I can stay perfectly medicated. I can hold down any kind of job I want to if I'm smart enough.
Yeah.
What does the equinox and the solstice have to do with it?
Well, I don't know, but I know I go from a pill and a quarter in a solstice, and as the equinox approaches, my blood pressure starts creeping up, and I take an extra pill and a quarter during a equinox, extra pill.
Yeah. Have you...
But I just adjusted a quarter pill at a time as my blood pressure goes up.
Okay. And is your doctor aware that you're doing this? And if so, what do they have to say about it?
Well, they say it's okay. Maybe I know more about it than they do. I don't know.
All right. Well, we appreciate the information, Randy, and best of luck to you. Thanks for the call. I do know... I'm not a superstitious guy. I'm not really even a religious guy. But the solstice, the equinox, full moon, all of these things have a huge effect on planet Earth.
I know. I always think about how weird it is that the moon is literally connected to when women have their periods.
Right. And it's also connected to low tide and high tide. Yeah. And so it would be very, I think, ignorant of me to go, well, that has no bearing on how human behavior or humans, work in general, right?
Exactly. That's why I believe in astrology, because I don't think that the position of the planet at the time you're born would necessarily have nothing to do with anything. But I'm not I'm also not like 100% like, oh, I believe in it all 100% either. It's just
Yeah, I'm not big into the astrology just because every time I read anything astrologically related, it all is just like these vagaries that could apply to multiple people at any given time in their lives and that kind of a thing.
And I think that's because there's so much of a market in it that there's like all kinds of little magazines that just put out little things. You want to know something weird? I looked up my horoscope for the day of the raid the other day.
Yeah.
And it said, this day the stars are going to try to make you injure your feet. And I, you stepped
did.
in glass.
That's right, you did.
I
You
literally injured my
You
feet.
had to put on shoes that were full of glass as a result of that's interesting.
That was weird.
I never thought of going and looking at like horoscopes in retrospect, right? Usually folks, when they're reading their horoscope in like, the newspaper or whatever it is, wherever it's published, or they get it, emailed, or it's on their phones now on their app or whatever. Usually it's a forward-looking thing. They're looking to predict the future. Will I win the lottery today? Right? What are my lucky numbers? And, who am I compatible with today? Will I meet a nice gentleman or lady or whatever it is, right? These are the things that, human beings look to horoscopes for, generally speaking. So it's interesting that you took a look in retrospect.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder if it told me I was going to have a bad day that day.
Yeah, I wonder, I'm going to have to maybe do some retrospect research. So we were talking about this bill proposed called the The Ammunition Background Check Act of 2021. And Jamie's father, this is also called Jamie's Law. Jamie's father also released a statement to help push the bill. My daughter Jamie was murdered over 3 years ago. Since then, our failure to address the reality of gun violence has only become more challenging as we see more instances of gun violence. The gun surge unleashed during the pandemic has resulted in over 400 million weapons on our streets, said Fred Gutenberg, founder of Orange Ribbons for Jamie. Unfortunately, as we are seeing every day now, many in the hands of someone who intends to harm and wants to kill, like the government, for example.
Yep.
The way to deal with this reality is to pass Jamie's Law and extend background checks to ammunition.
How can he even say, like, I know that of all the guns sold this year, many are belonging to someone who wants to hurt and kill? He's just saying that.
Well, I mean, they are if you include government. The reality of gun violence in America will not fix itself, he continues. We need this life-saving legislation, or we will continue to face our current daily reality of gun violence and loss of life. We are better than this. The time is now, in all caps and exclamation points. Let's save lives together and pass Jamie's Law.
I just hate that they use things like somebody dying because they got shot to pass laws that won't do anything for gun violence in the future.
Guns were already illegal, for many people to buy. There's already laws against murder, right? These kinds of a thing. And no, this type of legislation isn't going to prevent a damn thing. It's just not going to prevent a damn thing.
It's just going to make people go underground.
It's just going to make people go underground. The black market for ammunition is going to rise, right? People are going to begin to, make and remake.
And print.
Ammunition themselves, perhaps even 3D print it. I mean, legislation is not going to bring back this person's loved one.
It's exactly like abortion.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live on the way.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too,
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the live radio call-in talk program where you can take control of the airwaves to talk about whatever's on your mind. The toll number, it's no longer toll-free. We've changed the number. It's a regular number now. Regular-ass telephone number in the U.S. is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. If you'd like to join us on air, we'll get to your calls and thoughts momentarily. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
It's Bonnie.
And I wanted to tell you that Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you're going to find all sorts of valuable information neatly organized to suit your needs. There's no longer an excuse for ignoring this important and world-changing information. If you're already a knowledgeable crypto user, you can check out news.bitcoin.com and get the latest headlines of all the news that's relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for everything crypto, like getting a wallet, mining, trading, all the latest cryptocurrency news, and it's all on a very slick and incredibly easy-to-use website. Please visit Bitcoin.com. Again, Bitcoin.com. Let's go to your calls and thoughts. Let's go to Robert calling from South Carolina. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, I just wanted to get your opinion and the opinion of your listeners with regard to how to handle an inherent problem of the system. And that is that our people who work basically for the government are not working on an incentive program, financial incentive program, neither is the government for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get them to do what you want them to do efficiently? For example, in South Carolina here, we have the South Carolina Department of Employment Workforce, South Carolina Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, and South Carolina Department of Mental Health IPS section.
Mm-hmm.
That means Individual Placement Service. But I don't think that they do a very good job, unfortunately. I wish they did. But I'm sure it could be much better.
Sure.
With regard to helping people get into a career track and being successful at it, even getting into it, because of the fact that there really is no incentive for them, and they kind of act in this, I observe, in a kind of a bureaucratic way. But the thing is, there's no real motivation. I mean, they don't get paid based upon how many jobs they find for people or how many appropriate jobs they find for people.
Mm-hmm.
They get paid basically for being there. So how do you ever overcome that inherent problem? And that's my question. And I just thought maybe you or your listeners might have some ideas with regard to how to get the governor to pay attention a little bit to that very important aspect of what he's doing.
Well, so the thing here is that with these services, if you will, that are being provided by government, you hit the nail on the head in that there is no incentive for these organizations to perform, mostly because the government claims a monopoly over this type of a thing. Now, when it comes to things like job services, there are free market-based groups, this is businesses, right, whom you can go to and submit a resume or fill out an application, and they will find you a job, and they are incentive-based. So I would recommend anybody who's looking towards, any like a job services, within the government, that kind of a thing. Most of the people going to job services are going there to fulfill an obligation to continue collecting unemployment. They're not really going there to find an actual job or a career path or a way forward for themselves. The government claims that they offer things like, we'll re-educate you and we'll offer you new skills and all this kind of thing. But you are absolutely correct in that the government has no incentive to deliver on any of this because they're not rewarded for any successes that they have. It is a bureaucracy, and the whole thing should just go away, and the free market should be allowed to interject wherever these government agencies are, wherever they exist, so that a properly incentivized business or businesses can compete with each other to offer the best and most services to people in need. Bonnie, your thoughts?
There's no organization in government that does like a better job than could be done with the free markets, and that's because the government doesn't have to get paid based on whether or not they're a good company or not. They just get paid. They get money that was stolen from us deposited directly into their accounts for sitting there and doing the bare minimum or whatever, because, and I know this for sure because I lived on a military base where like 90% of the employees on the base were actually civilians. And oh my God, there's nothing worse on earth than a civilian who works on a military base because they don't care. They don't have to do anything right. They don't have to do anything well. They don't have to have good customer service. They just can suck all day and never get fired.
Any other thoughts, Robert?
Okay. Yes, I do. I appreciate your thought with regard to going to private industry. The problem is that private industry, I think what they do is they get some money from the businesses that are looking for people, and the businesses will say, well, look, we need somebody who's experienced in this particular thing. So the company, they think their job is to find people in another company who work with people who are in that job, and to somehow lure them over to apply through the agency to this other, and the agency then intermediates between the company that paid them to look for somebody. And it's a totally different thing, I think, than what the government is doing when you go to the government to find a job.
Look, we have way worse problems right now with the workforce because of the government paying people to not work. McDonald's can't keep people working for them right now.
Yeah, Wendy, a bunch of the restaurants, if you just look at the restaurant industry in general, they are at a crossroads in just the existence of restaurants. And that is to say that since the, quote, pandemic, unquote, and everybody was laid off or put on unemployment or extended unemployment or the stimmy checks or, all of this kind of thing has kicked in, it's to a point now where nobody wants to work in the restaurants right now. And restaurants that are otherwise really successful can't keep enough employees to make the restaurant go. Now that, some of the things have been returning to normal, some states are lifting the mask mandates and that kind of thing. So thank you for the call tonight, Robert. Absolutely good point, Bonnie. In fact, here in town, I heard a rumor that a national chain restaurant closed for 2 weeks. Not because anybody got the coronavirus, but because they can't hire enough employees now to handle both indoor dining and the takeout, which is, kind of their whole business model went to since the mandates and the closures and all that kind of stuff. So they were a chain restaurant. They had dine-in. They moved all of their business to curbside, takeout, delivery, DoorDash, Uber Eats, that kind of stuff. And so now they're able to reopen the dining room, but they can't hire enough people to keep up with the demand. So they closed for 2 weeks.
Because why should somebody work at some place like Chipotle or Applebee's or something when for less money than they can make just sitting at home and getting money from the government? Why should they? Why would they want to? That would actually be weird if they want. That'd be abnormal. Most people don't want to do that. But if the government didn't exist, they wouldn't be, sitting there giving people $600 a week not to work, and then people would want to go get a job. They probably wouldn't even, honestly, I don't even think if there was, the government, there would be, I don't think that there would be a huge bunch of companies whose job was to find people jobs. It would just naturally happen. People would naturally be getting jobs a lot easier because the economy would just be insanely booming if we didn't have the government ruining it all the time.
The caller, Robert, answered his own question within the question. And that is to say, he's like, well, it doesn't seem like they have the incentive. And that is the answer. The answer is government removes human incentive. Human incentives are things like this: pay, respect, prestige, right? These are generally the things that motivate human beings when it comes to employment or business running, right? How many of these people who are unemployed could run a business if they want to, if it didn't require all of the disincentives that government puts in front of you? Licensing, insurance, right? All of this kind of a thing.
All the taxes they have to pay just to start a business.
Just to get into a business, right? And it's not like, oh, you're good at making sandwiches, you just start making sandwiches and selling them. No, that's not how it works. Look into the process of starting a business, listeners, and look at how complex it is just to start a sandwich making business. And you will see the hurdles that the government throws in front of you just to get off the ground. And it's sick. It's insane is what it is. So when the government interjects, it takes away incentive. It either monopolizes or disincentivizes, and that is what creates the problems that we are facing currently, particularly in the restaurant industry and particularly with regards to what is known as COVID. Hour number 2 of Free Talk Live is on the way.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Calls for a sheriff's resignation in North Carolina. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. The family of a black man killed by deputies in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, are outraged that body cam video has not been released. Pasco-Tank County Sheriff Tommy Wooten said he will release the video, but didn't say when. Local NAACP branch president Keith Rivers.
On behalf of the Pasco-Tank County branch, we today are calling for his resignation.
Andrew Brown was shot by deputies who were serving a warrant after a traffic stop. Turkey's foreign ministry has summoned the U.S. ambassador to Ankara after President Biden officially recognized the 1915 massacres of Armenians in the Ottoman Empire as genocide. That declaration infuriated Turkey and further strained fragile ties between the two NATO allies. Turkey says the declaration has no legal basis, and it condemns the move in the strongest terms. Israel dealing with protests that broke out today near the West Bank in Jerusalem. Fox's Trey Yingst is in Jerusalem.
Dozens of people gathering in the streets following Ramadan prayers. There have been clashes for the past week taking place in Jerusalem, and now we are seeing factions inside Gaza getting involved. On Thursday, 100 Palestinians were injured in these clashes, and 20 members of the Israeli security forces also facing injuries. We already saw a rocket fired from Gaza.
The Israeli military launched rocket attacks along the Gaza Strip early this morning. Many states have resumed administering the Johnson & Johnson coronavirus vaccine after federal regulators lifted an 11-day pause over blood clot concerns. But some states are still weighing whether to resume using the vaccine. America is listening to Fox News.
Join over 24,000 of some of the fastest growing companies in the world who rely on NetSuite. Just ask Sean Nelson, founder of Lovesac.
We started as a beanbag company in my parents' basement. And the next thing I knew, we were one of the fastest growing furniture companies in the world. Only problem, we still had multiple systems for everything.
NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, inventory, e-commerce, HR, and more.
Lovesac furniture is built to last and infinitely adaptable, just like NetSuite.
Find out how NetSuite can help your company with a free product tour at netsuite.com/relax.
Florida is getting closer to the expansion of legal gambling.
Governor Ron DeSantis signing an agreement Friday with Florida's Seminole tribe, introducing legal sports betting at its casinos in South Florida and near Tampa, and allowing the tribe to license horse tracks, high life rontons, and former dog tracks to accept such wagers on its behalf for a share of the income. The Seminoles will also be allowed to introduce craps and roulette at its 7 casinos, including the popular Hard Rock near Fort Lauderdale. The new deal, still to be reviewed by state lawmakers, could bring in $2.5 billion from the tribe over the first 5 years, while creating at least 2,200 jobs. Paul Stevens, Fox News.
The debate continues by health experts and parents over the extent that virtual learning impacts children and their education. Fox's Laura Ingo reports.
Several studies show that many students are now a year or more behind in math and reading. As many parents and educators across the U.S. work to bring struggling students up to speed, they are also deciding if a child should move on to the next grade. 17 states, along with Washington, D.C., have mandatory retention policies for third graders. Meaning if kids don't meet reading requirements, they could be forced to repeat the grade unless they are successfully granted an exception. In a year of virtual learning, many parents and teachers across the country say this is actually the year where exceptions should be made.
The Education Department is providing.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
A man thanks God he's not sexually attracted to children, and Popeye's home is burglarized. Week in and week out, you come back like a housebroken Pomeranian, loyal to the bitter end. Good boy. This is the Onion Week in Review. Georgia's Cobb County Evangelical Hospital held its 5th annual Walk to Cure Gayness today, reportedly drawing thousands of participants to raise funds that would cure sufferers of their homosexuality and make gayness a thing of the past. Hospital administrators told reporters that funding from the walk would go into providing new state-of-the-art gayness treatment equipment, along with remodeling the hospital's physical therapy center, which has spent nearly 14 years reteaching gay men how to walk properly.
Oh God, I was a goner. But as you can see, I'm now happily married to a woman, and as of next month, I will have been in full remission for 2 whole years. I'm just so very, very happy. Everything's really good in my life.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Kicking off hour number 2 of the talk radio program where you could call in and talk about anything that's on your mind, known as Free Talk Live. That's right, Free Talk Live. If you'd like to join us, the telephone number you need is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And everyone's always talking about buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but that's boring as hell. How about earning some Bitcoin, getting paid with Bitcoin? That's the way. If you want to earn Bitcoin at your business, AnyPayX.com is the way to do it. Your customers will love it, and everyone in town will talk about your store, your business being the Bitcoin store. And it's just plain fun. Get the free app and start earning Bitcoin at your business. Visit AnyPayX.com. Again, AnyPayX.com. Let's go to more of your calls and thoughts. We have Sam calling from perhaps somewhere in Atlanta. Sam, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I am. This is my first time doing this in a long time. I used to do it downstate.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Now, the bullet thing, I'm kind of surprised about that. Kind of a weird feeling that was going to come by. But is it only happening to one time only? Or you have to do this every time you go in and buy it? Buy the bullet.
That is a great question. I would hope that... I mean, either way, it's a violation of your basic rights, right? Like, there's nothing... Yeah. I don't know the answer to the question. Perhaps if we get through to more of the article, they will mention that. But, I mean, does it matter if they violate your rights one time and then you're good to go for every time you buy ammunition versus violating them every time?
Well, is that how they do it with guns that you need a background check for? Do you get a background check every single gun?
I don't know the answer to that.
No, I don't need, because I would like to know that myself. I think it's BS. My opinion, my feelings about it.
Yep.
It needs to leave. It does, completely. Because, making this here, I'm making a good point here. If I don't have a bullet that I need to go kill somebody, why can't I just ask my uncle or a friend or even go steal it from my neighbor?
Yeah. Or make it.
Yeah, make it myself. I put it in my pocket. There you go.
Or buy it from someone who will, just like not do the background check for you. And there's so many ways to break this law. It just doesn't make any sense.
And all of a sudden now ammunition manufacturers become like drug cartel, right? They're underground. They're like drug dealers, right? You've got your, hey man, you want to buy some 9? Guy on the corner, right?
Yeah. All I can even do is go use my knife instead of or a baseball bat.
Or your hands.
But
that's actually a great point, Sam, and thank you for the call tonight. The decision to murder somebody always precedes, and I've said this so many times recently, always precedes the choice of weapon, right? So the decision to kill a person always comes first. Then you go, hey, what weapon will I use, right? Now, some people who decide to kill may not, they just go and they're like, all right, I'm going to kill some bastards and I'm going to reach for this, right? My tank, my gun, whatever it is, right? They can't separate the fact that these two things happen in succession, but it's true. The decision to kill somebody always precedes the decision of which weapon to use. Always. So it doesn't matter. Outlaw ammunition, outlaw guns, all that kind of stuff. Look at what happens over in the UK, right? People still get guns. People now they're trying to ban certain kinds of knives because people are running around with knives and it just banning stuff doesn't work. It doesn't work. There's so much evidence if you're willing to look, if you're willing to be open-minded enough to go, does this really work? There's tons of evidence that says it does not work.
And that's why I said it's just like abortion earlier. I'm sure lots of people have heard this comparison, but it's absolutely the same exact thing. If you ban abortion because you're a Christian state and you don't want abortion in Tennessee, people are going to still have abortions. It's just going to be way, way more deadly and less professional than if Planned Parenthood could openly give abortions.
Right.
It's the same thing with guns. It's just people are still going to get guns, whether it's because they want to hurt somebody or whether it's because they want to defend themselves, or
protect
whether it's
their
just
property, et cetera, and so on.
Or if they just want to have a gun to shoot it, people are going to get guns. It's just going to be a more unprofessional environment, not out in the open, with more ways for it to go wrong, probably.
Well, and in fact, Military 101 says that the most difficult place to invade and overcome is an area with a heavily armed population. So, therefore, using the skills of logic, if your government actually cared about protecting the, quote, territory, unquote, in which its citizens were in, they might even be doing such extreme things as requiring gun training in schools and giving you a gun once you've passed. If they really truly cared about defending their borders, every military knows this. It's Military 101. Go look it up.
I can't imagine just having any interaction with the government ever, DMV or anything, and then deciding I want them to have guns and not me and not anyone else who's a citizen. I just want the government to have the guns.
I've been to hell, I spell it. I spell it DMV. Perhaps you may know vaguely what I mean. These are lyrics from a Primus song called DMV. You should go check it out. It's pretty sweet. This article continues. As CBS Miami reports, with Democrats in control of Congress, Gutenberg feels there's a great chance for passage of the law this year. The gun lobby is weakened, and this is the year to pass legislation, he says. While Gutenberg's loss is certainly tragic, requiring background checks for ammunition would not have prevented Nicholas Cruz from shooting up Parkland. There were over a dozen red flags authorities completely overlooked, and Cruz was allowed to buy a gun despite committing multiple felonies prior to committing the mass murder. But citing Cruz as the reason for advocating the erosion of the Second Amendment is commonplace for the anti-gun activists who constantly claim he should have had his guns taken.
How does he spell Cruz?
C-R-U-Z. Which would have prevented the tragedy. Sadly, however, they are ignoring the fact that he was accused of multiple felonies and should have never been able to purchase a gun in the first place with the laws already on the books. But law enforcement failed to act on any of it.
So this entire law that is being proposed because of Jamie dying can be proven to be stupid just by looking at the way that the gun was bought that killed Jamie.
Yes. According to a report by CNN, records obtained from the sheriff's office by CNN show the law enforcement agency received at least 45 calls for service relating to Cruz or his brother from 2008 to 2017.
Oh my God.
As previously reported by the Free Thought Project, Cruz warned that he was going to shoot up a school and kill people, and the FBI did nothing.
FBI, I'm warning you. This is going to happen. They're just like, nah.
Quote, I'm going to be a professional school shooter, unquote. A YouTube user named Nicholas Cruz commented on a video September 24th, 2017. Yes, that was before the shooting. The video was posted on the channel Ben the Bondsman, and the owner, Ben Knight, immediately took a screenshot and submitted it to the FBI. And guess what? Nothing happened.
Well, why would they do something to one of their employees who they hired to shoot up a school?
I like how you do that. While this is bad enough, the Sheriff's Department records show that police were given this exact same warning a year before because Cruz had been declaring his wishes to shoot up the school publicly. 603-283-6160 is our phone number. This is Free Talk Live. We've got more coming up.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Hey developers, do you want to add Bitcoin to your apps, website? Want to make something creative? AnyPay is the way. We made a super simple API just for you at anypay.dev. You don't need any special knowledge of Bitcoin. Plug it into your app or website and it just works. Get paid on the transactions your users make. Whether you're brand new to web development or have decades of experience, you can add Bitcoin to anything with anypay.dev.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. We had a caller that I screened. We have one call on hold, but we had a caller that I screened named Michael calling from New Hampshire. Michael, I apologize. I believe I hit the wrong button and accidentally disconnected the call. So I wanted to hear about your topic. If you could, please call back 603-283-6160. We'll get to the rest of your calls and thoughts in just a bit. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
It's Bonnie.
and we've been talking about this article from the Free Thought Project where it appears that there's a proposal that may pass in which you will be required to pass a background check just to purchase ammunition. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. But first, on March 16th of this year, a joint government task force raided the New Hampshire Bitcoin Embassy, the Mighty Moose Mart, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Andy and Renee Spinella, Colleen Fordham, who's a grandmother, and perhaps most relevant, they raided the studios of Free Talk Live. The Crypto Six, those are the 6 people who were arrested, of course, and most were released except Rich Paul, whom we all know as Nobody, and of course Ian Freeman. Both remain in custody without bail. We've been in contact with attorneys that say that no crime even appears to have been committed. But that didn't stop the Joint Thug Task Force from ripping out wires from the back of our broadcast stacks and otherwise attempting to disable and take Free Talk Live off the air, violating our and your First Amendment rights. You can go to thecrypto6.com now. You can donate to fight against these charges, but as importantly, contact media and tell them about this outrage. This case is likely to set precedent for the use of cryptocurrency well into the future. Help our fight for liberty and financial freedom at thecrypto6.com. Again, thecrypto6.com. Let's go to Lacey calling from West Virginia. Lacey, you're on Free Talk Live.
Okay, I have a few things to say.
Mhm.
First off, about the guns and the ammo, they just want to do that so they can come in and control us and tell us how to do whatever they want us to do.
Yep.
And, okay, I love her, by the way, Miss Bonnie. Are you there?
Thanks. Aw.
You guys are sweet.
You sound so cute and small and tiny. But anyways, the mask. Okay? If you look it up on Google.
Ooh, are you on a cell phone, Lacey?
Oh, we're losing you.
Perhaps you drove into a tunnel. But or perhaps you're wearing a mask, and of course we can't hear your voice through the mask, and then onto the air and onto the radio and through your
Happens to
telephone.
me at work all the time.
All right. Well, we appreciate the call, Lacey. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what she was going to say about the masks, but she said if you Google and something about the masks, the thing that has been freaking me out about the masks, which is like the new like conspiracy theory I guess is out there, is that they're wanting to put fibers in your body, and I'm always wearing this mask at work that like I can feel the little fibers going into my nose.
Ooh.
And I'm like, I don't want to breathe that into me. Where will it go? How will it
Is
get
it like
out?
inhaling fiberglass or something?
No, they're like strings.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Weird.
That can't be good.
No, it can't be. Well, I know the most recent internet, we'll say viral thing that I've seen was the Stanford study. I believe it was Stanford that said, the same thing that when the experts, quote unquote, were first asked about masks, they're like, nah, it's probably not going to help in this situation. It's not really going to do anything for you, that kind of a thing. And so now then like, a year later, the Stanford study is done, and the Stanford study goes, yeah, no, not going to help.
Yeah, and if you've been following like Tom Woods' research on this, he always has all these graphs up that show that the masks, like, it's not that they make things worse necessarily, but they absolutely don't make anything better. In any place where there's been a mandate, it doesn't change the rate of infection at all.
Yesterday, I saw somebody driving around in their car with their mask on, but below their nose. Like, are you committed or not?
So it was on their mouth?
Yeah, just covering their mouth. It was just hanging down underneath their nose, covering just their mouth. But they're wearing it in their car while driving around with, like, their windows down. Like, is that laziness? Is that, are you uneducated? Are you uncommitted? Do you not have a stance on the thing one way or the other? I'm not really sure. And then I saw it again today.
Wow.
The different driver, different car, different area of town, whole 9 yards.
They're like, well, New Hampshire dropped the mask mandate, but not Keene, so I'm going to halfway wear this.
Right. Or so it seems, anyway. There are plenty of places in Keene, though, where, like, if you just walk in and just, act like you're supposed to be there, they don't say anything to you. It's great.
Yeah.
I do like it. But what I don't like is seeing the number of, the masses who are still, they're walking around outside on the sidewalk. Like, I saw a family of 5. Mom, dad, 3 kids. Everybody's got masks on. They're walking down the sidewalk together. You know what I mean? Like, really, guys, come on. Like this isn't doing anything for you.
I hate that in Central Square. It's really bad. Like on 420, me and Vincent were walking up to join everybody who was in the square, and I just thought it was so weird that everybody goes like in between going from one store to the next door. They're like coming out and they're like putting a mask on just to walk on the sidewalk. Nobody's going to get infected by anything, even if you have something, from walking on the sidewalk behind you. That just doesn't happen.
Right. So this article continues talking about making, it a thing where you have to pass a background check to purchase ammunition. And it says, as TFTP previously reported, Cruz warned that he was going to shoot up a school. The FBI did nothing. The police did nothing. He repeatedly said this. And while this is bad enough, the sheriff's department records show that police were given this exact same warning a year before because Cruz had been declaring his wishes to shoot up the school publicly.
The only thing I don't like about this part of the article is, like, I'm sure people will try to take all this as an argument to make, like, the police more strong, and now we need to watch YouTube comments even more. It's really not.
I mean, to me, this seems like the police and the FBI went full derp.
Well, actually last year I stopped myself from doing this, but I used to watch a lot of like murder mysteries, and so many YouTuber people will always take and there was 3 FBI tips into this person before that. They'll always take that and be like, the FBI needs to be doing a better job. I think the FBI needs to disappear, and we need to just not have laws against stuff that aren't going to stop
result
anything.
of television, is what it is. If you watch enough murder mystery television shows, they all kind of follow the same pattern. This is something called a procedural, right? And what I don't like I like sci-fi shows, but a whole bunch of sci-fi shows come out and then they turn into a cop show.
Oh, God.
Right? Where the alien or the person from the future ends up sort of becoming a policeman somehow, and then buddying up, chumming up with some other policemen.
Like Stranger Things, too.
Yeah, and that's how they, sort of get along in the world and all that kind of thing. So 603-283-6160 is the telephone number here at Free Talk Live. We've got more in store for you coming up.
Are you a sneezer? If you're not, can you get close to one? I don't literally mean someone sneezing. Sneezer, as defined by marketing guru Seth Godin, is an opinion leader. When a sneezer mentions something, other people catch what Godin calls the idea virus. Seth Godin says some people are more likely to tell their friends about a great new idea. So identifying and courting sneezers is a key success factor for idea merchants. His book, Unleashing the Idea Virus, is the most downloaded ebook in history, and you can download the whole book free. That's how he's making his idea contagious. Click tips, tricks, and other stuff to help you cut through the clutter at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Free Talk Live.
The idea that politicians are leaders. Check your premises on that one.
Cutting proof.
Really? Would you really follow Barack Obama or George Bush? Would you really follow their every command? Would you follow their suggestions? Do you believe that politicians are somehow more knowledgeable than you are? That politicians are of a special group of people? They're a special little critter that for some reason is more enlightened or educated? Constantly you can hear talking heads refer to the authorities or our leaders in Washington, and it's just patently absurd. I mean, these people are failures at life. That's why they became politicians.
Right. There's so many of them are attorneys. The good attorneys make a
money.
Whole bunch of money and retire with yachts. The unsuccessful ones go into politics.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for listening, everybody. The telephone number here is 603-283-6160. We've got some calls on hold that we'll be getting to shortly. Again, 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join the conversation. Here in the studio tonight, it's myself, the Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass, joining me.
It's Bonnie.
I like how I have this giant long, and then you're like, it's Bonnie.
I needed that much time because I just put a whole date in my mouth right before the show.
Ooh.
What a good idea.
Ah. Well, yeah, try not to eat when we're on the air. It's bad audio.
It was an accident.
It's bad audio. Bad audio is a hate crime, by the way. Before we get to your calls and thoughts and continue on our subjects, I wanted to tell you about liberty.menu. For years, libertarians of all stripes have wanted a directory of liberty-minded businesses. Well, we're helping build one. It's called liberty.menu. Liberty.menu is a tool for your community. At its core, it's a directory for events, businesses, digital content, and more. Listings can be rated and reviewed, and there's a bit of a social network so you can connect and share with others. Use of liberty.menu is exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. So if you work for government, you can't use liberty.menu. Put your voluntarist ideas into action at liberty.menu. Use code FTL to get a special badge. That's liberty.menu. Again, liberty.menu. All right. Let's go to Michael calling from New Hampshire. Michael, do we have you? All right. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I'm concerned about health freedom.
We're not getting a real good signal. Are you talking right into your phone, Michael?
I am. Are you getting me now?
Oh, there we go. That's way better. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so health freedom is my concern. We've got just a huge push for vaccinations for COVID, and I always thought HIPAA was sort of the concept that my medical information was private and something that only my medical, provider. And
Many people thought that. Absolutely. Yes, that's a great point.
So how are we going to somehow turn around and use that information as sort of a passport to decide whether or not I get to do things like go to a particular college or travel or all sorts of things are being talked about.
Go to a concert or a sports game or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that question. And what really bothers me is that no officials from HIPAA or any of the medical agencies have stepped up and gone, hey, wait a minute.
That's odd.
Yeah, why aren't any of these medical professionals from HIPAA or from any of the privacy agencies going, hey, wait a minute, this violates medical privacy that's already in place?
And I think anybody should be allowed to get a vaccine if they want the vaccine, but the idea of making it basically mandatory by what you said, not being able to go to a specific college unless you get it is crazy for something that we don't even have 100%, they haven't proved within a shadow of a doubt that it is absolutely something that's going to help us not, have COVID in the future or help us recover from COVID better. They haven't even proven that. How can they make it a requirement? It's crazy.
And I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg with this because, we're just starting to get to the point where there's more vaccines than people that want them. And I'm just concerned that over the next few months, you're going to really see some teeth come out. And that could really be a problem for those of us that are not ready to take that vaccine that's still experimental.
Yeah, I know I personally won't. And thanks for calling back, Michael. We appreciate your call tonight. I have had the dreaded COVID. And how do I know that? I didn't get the test, but I had a whole bunch of symptoms for a couple of weeks, very, very flu-like, but I had the dreaded loss of taste for like almost a week.
Did you lose smell?
A little bit, but like the weirdest thing about the smell thing was when I lost the taste, I could still smell stuff, but everything smelled differently. I'll give you an example. When I got into my vehicle, which generally smells like a vehicle, I keep it pretty clean. I don't leave trash all over the place. It probably needs detailed and, vacuumed out. But outside of that, there's no clutter anywhere. And so generally it kind of smells like not a new car, but it has just this faint new car scent to it, right?
Yeah, you have like leathery seats and stuff, and I can attest that his car is always clean.
Yeah. So I get in my car for the first time after I lose the taste, and my car, to me, smells like it's got a huge case of halitosis. This is known as bad breath.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it was like, it didn't really make me want to vomit, but like close to it. I was like, oh, this is horrible. I had to roll down all the windows just to drive around and, go through a couple of drive-through places and that kind of a thing. And like that went on for the duration of my loss of taste. My sense of smell like changed completely. And now I was offended by smells that were just perfectly normal.
Wow, that's interesting. Like when it happened to me, I just completely couldn't smell anything. I had the littlest bit of taste there. Like I could just kind of taste that. Like I ate pho, and I could kind of taste that it was like salty, but barely.
Yeah.
And it was like really hard to taste stuff, but I absolutely couldn't smell anything. And then Mark said that he could smell and taste, but it tasted different. Like you said, coffee just made him want to throw up because it was nasty.
I noticed that processed foods disgusted me.
Good.
And I mean, I couldn't taste them, but I could smell them.
It's a truth serum.
Right. So, for example, I made just a grilled cheese sandwich, right? Regular ass white bread, some processed cheese food slices, from the local grocer. You know what I mean? The ones with the little, the plastic that you got to peel off. It's wrapped, like in a trifold kind of thing. Just a couple of slices, regular ass white bread in a pan on the stove. I ate that thing and like I couldn't. I got like 2-3 bites into it, and I'm like, because I knew I needed to eat, right? I lost a bunch of appetite for a couple of weeks. I did drop some pounds, but like I knew I needed to put something in my body because when you get sick, your body needs to process stuff. Ironically, what I could eat without any disgust or any weird smells or whatever, fruit, bananas, blackberries, raspberries, grapes. Apples, that type of stuff. I could eat no problem, not feel nauseous, got no bad smells from it or anything. But when I went to eat I went to just make myself some pasta, just plain old pasta, with a little bit of butter on it. And just because I knew I needed to put something in my gut. And I couldn't eat that either. I was like, oh, this is disgusting.
Wow.
Because it's a highly processed food, right? It's just, the box variety of some, penne or something. And so, it wasn't until I stocked up on the fruits and the vegetables that I was like, oh, I can eat something now.
That's really weird because Mark said the same thing, that he was only eating fruits. I kept feeding him all of Ian's kiwis because I don't really like kiwis and they were going to go bad.
Yeah.
Because they put my boyfriend in jail.
That's true. They did. And so at any rate, I had the thing. I recovered from it just fine. I did sleep for, I think, 3.5 days. Not consecutively. I mean, like I woke up, I hydrated, I drank some juice. I had a bunch of orange juice and that type of stuff, and then I would just crawl back into bed and go back to sleep. So about 3.5 days of that. And then I lost the sense of taste, after that sort of ended. I had the chills. I had the sweats on and off. So it was like, felt like I was breaking a fever and then it would go away and then I'd break it again and then it'd go away and then I'd break it again and then it'd go away. It had this weird cycle to it that was weird.
That's horrible.
I never at once, though, never at any time did I go, this is so bad, I think I might die.
And the thing about it that is so annoying recently, it's been annoying me extra amounts recently, is just like all of my friends and myself who've had COVID have basically described what you're saying, like, oh, it was not fun, it sucked, but I got over it and I lived, and there's no reason to inject myself with a, some untested vaccine that got rushed out. But
and that's to Michael's point, the previous caller. He talked about the vaccine passports and all that stuff. They never talk about what happens to people who had the COVID and got over it.
it's not that bad. And I'm tired of being gaslit. That's why I've been arguing with people. I usually don't argue with people about it, but I'm not going to be gaslit into acting like it's some kind of huge deal. It's not anymore.
603-283-6160 if you'd like to join the conversation. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless Crime Spree.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Yeah, it is Free Talk Live. It is the Saturday night edition. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. If you'd like to join the conversation, we've got a couple of calls on hold. We'll get to them shortly. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
It's Bonnie.
And on March 16th of 2020, government agencies conspired together and raided the Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Renee and Andy Spinella, and Colleen Fordham. These 6 people are known as the Crypto Six, who were all arrested and taken into custody. Ian Freeman and nobody, formerly known as Rich Paul, both remain in custody and have not been able to get bail. What can you do to help? Well, you can visit thecrypto6.com. There are multiple ways in which you can donate to their legal defense fund because these charges are not a joke. It's going to take some serious legal firepower and experts to protect the Crypto Six from further aggression from the state. This case will likely set precedent that will help or that will affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come. You can help them in their fight for liberty and financial freedom by contributing to their legal defense fund over at thecrypto6.com. Once more, thecrypto6.com. Let's go to Joe calling from North Dakota. Joe, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I enjoy your show. First-time listener.
Hey, thanks for joining us. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, you guys were talking earlier about ammunition and the regulation and stuff, and I would be willing to bet that if that went to the Supreme Court, that I think they would find in our favor, just on the grounds that how can you have a well-regulated militia with the Second Amendment in place without any ammunition?
Well, I mean, you're speaking very logical things there, Joe, but I also know that there is a move to increase the number of judges on what I call the burrito Supreme Court, so that they can have sour cream and onions and olives and all that kind of stuff. So the idea there is that the Supreme Court will be overwhelmed with, people who may not agree that what you're saying is logical.
And
yeah,
the thing is,
that's a political ploy, I think. I don't think it's going to happen myself. I think it's a pipe dream. Yeah, and, there was I believe it was a Japanese admiral that said that the reason the continental United States has never been invaded by a foreign country since the Revolutionary War is because there was a gun behind every blade of grass.
It's a great quote. I love that quote.
And I think that is why the political liberals they just want to keep tooting their horn about all this gun control just on election years, off years, and it's just to get their base riled up. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think the people are going to get fed up here pretty soon with all this looting and rioting and stuff, and I think you're going to see a kickback, and they're going to push too far, and they're going to wish they never did.
Hey, thanks for the call, Joe. We appreciate it. I tend to, what Joe is saying sounds good to me, right? But I've thought that for a long time. I've thought that, the people will eventually get fed up and, we'll see a bunch of people sort of rise up and do something about it.
no, we just watched Texas bend over and let the government close all the churches for a year.
Yeah. Not to mention many other states, do many unconstitutional things at the power of governor's executive orders. This is the first that I've seen every state in the union's governor issue executive orders that are all about the same thing, about the COVID. They basically put everybody in what I'll call martial law light. The only thing missing from the lockdowns, first of all, lockdowns are a prison term, so they made everybody a prisoner in their own homes. The only thing missing from martial law during the lockdowns were tanks in the streets. That's it.
There actually were tanks in the streets, going around making sure that there weren't people protesting in Seattle and stuff like that. There actually were tanks. There were federal agents in big buses that would get out and grab people off the streets. One thing I would like to point out to Joe and to everyone who always makes this point, oh, the Supreme Court would never allow that because it's unconstitutional. The government isn't made to protect you from the government. If the government wants to do something to you, they'll do it. They'll go in your house and steal your boyfriend.
Yep. The Constitution might as well be written on toilet paper because that's what the bureaucrats use it for. Let's go to, I think we have a better connection here with Lacey. Lacey, are you with us?
I am.
Awesome. You're on Free Talk Live. We can hear you clearly. What's on your mind?
Well, about those masks, remember I was telling you, like, the wearing them for 6 hours or more causes brain damage or organ damage.
Wow.
Wearing them just for a little while causes the fatigue, the heartbreak, confusion, and possible collapsing. Okay.
I've heard of these things.
You can get on the internet, and the internet will tell you if you are able to read Big Pharma's financial records, you will not live to tell about it.
What does that mean?
That means that Big Pharma is employed. The FDA is employed by Big Pharma. Okay. The FDA doesn't pass the drugs that are safe for you. They pass the drugs that they can make the most money off of. So if any citizen looks, they're totally open. You can go look anytime you want at the financial records of Big Pharma. They will come and kill you.
Wow. I know that there have been many lawsuits by the folks that everybody knows now, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, the folks providing the coronavirus vaccines. There have been many lawsuits. I have 3 separate articles about each of them having been sued and then settling a lawsuit. For example, I have AstraZeneca settles Texas drug lawsuit for $110 million. This is the same company.
Yeah, they made 3 times more than that off of just a couple of shots. Yeah.
Right. I've got the Justice Department announces largest healthcare fraud settlement in history. Pfizer to pay $2.3 billion for fraudulent marketing. Right? So that, where does this come from?
What about the vaccines that they spoiled before they gave them to us?
Yeah,
what about the 42 people in Raleigh County that got antibiotics instead of the vaccine?
Oh, my
Did
God.
you know that?
I certainly don't trust any of these companies to provide anything that resembles a vaccine, much less any other medicine for me, based on their track record of fraud and payouts that they've had to make because they've been found guilty of doing unscrupulous things. Thank you for the call, Lacey. We appreciate you.
The FDA is scary and gross because anybody who controls the food that we eat and the drugs that we take controls the diseases we get because they pass processed foods and make it to where people can just sell a bunch of crap that's not actual food and gives you diseases. And then the remedy that they are going to make money off of. You eat processed cheese all day, well, you're probably going to get diabetes, and here's the medicine for it that costs millions of dollars.
The Hegelian dialectic. This is problem, reaction, solution. So a problem is created, a reaction is had, right? Oh my gosh, fear, all that kind of stuff. And then, oh, here we come. We're the heroes now. We're the solution for a problem that they created themselves.
Yeah, whenever I lived in Utah, I learned a lot of bad stuff about the history of the Mormons. And one of the things was that one of the guys who started it, I'm going to forget his name on air, of course, but it's John something. He got kicked out of Missouri because he was going and stealing people's stuff and then going around saying he was offering services of people could pay him to help find their missing stuff. And then he would go give it back to them. So he would steal your thing, come up to you hey, are you missing something? Because you can pay me to help find it. And then he'd find it magically because he stole it.
What magic powers he has.
That's pretty much what, something the government does in different forms all the time.
Yeah, that's for certain.
Breaks your leg and sells you a crutch.
Yeah. So switching gears from the, hey, now you got to pass a background check to get ammunition. This from metro.co.uk. Dad, who homeschools kids, teaches them about guns and Bitcoin. Derek Grace II, age 28, began homeschooling his 6-year-old daughter, Derica, after claiming traditional education was akin to daycare.
Yep.
He's since developed his own unlearn and relearn curriculum for Derica and her 9-year-old brother, Derek III, about shooting weapons, cryptocurrency, and the Black Panther movement.
Wow.
603-283-6160. We'll talk more about this dad who teaches guns and Bitcoin on Free Talk Live. More on the way.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
You know that at some point in your life, an emergency is going to happen. You just don't know when. You could call the government and maybe they'll help, or they might shoot your dog. Why call potentially psychopathic strangers when you could ask your friends, family, or neighbors for help? Cell 411 makes decentralized emergency response possible, and it's free. Visit getcell411.com or download Cell 411 from your favorite app store. Getcell411.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
They want to see the body cam video. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Impatience growing in Elizabeth City, North Carolina for the release of that video from deputies who shot and killed Andrew Brown, a black man. Harry Daniels is an attorney for Brown's family.
The governor, the chief executive officer have asked for the release, Governor Roy Cooper. It is time for the release of this video so justice can be served.
Pasquotank County Sheriff Tommy Wooten promised to release the footage in due time. The local chapter of the NAACP is calling for his resignation. More than 100 people turned out in Chicago to protest how police serve that city. They demanded changes in laws on policing and the police budget cut to make more money available for social services. A teenager has been charged with murder in the shooting of a 7-year-old Chicago girl at a McDonald's drive-thru. 18-year-old Marion Lewis also faces 18 other counts. The White House continues to be pressured by many to stem the surge of illegal crossings at the southern border. Yuma, Arizona Mayor Doug Nichols.
We need to make sure those who do need protection can get it, but we also need to try to cut the flow off so those that don't need that protection or as urgently need that protection put themselves at this greater risk of being exploited.
Administration officials say they're working on addressing the root causes of why migrants cross the border. A move by President Biden is straining already fragile ties between the U.S. and Turkey. President Biden declaring the massacre of 1.5 million Armenians during the final years of the Ottoman Empire as genocide. Turkey says the declaration opens a deep wound that undermines a mutual trust between the two countries. It also summoned the U.S. ambassador to Ankara. America is listening to Fox News.
Indeed is the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post, screen, and interview, All on Indeed. Get your quality shortlist of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description faster. Only pay for the candidates that meet must-have qualifications. According to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Get started right now with the free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Fox. Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through June 30th. Terms and conditions apply.
Big tech companies face more actions from Congress following hearings this past week.
Tech giants face questions from the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee after the House committee approved its tech antitrust report. Now, that summed up a year-long investigation into Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple and their alleged abuses of market power, setting the stage for Congress to take action. Lawmakers want to tackle a number of issues, including creating barriers for dominant companies with a penchant for scooping up the competition, repealing or reforming Section 230, the law shielding internet companies from legal liability over their content that users post, as well as content moderation, including measures to protect children. This hearing focused on the gatekeeping power these companies have over app stores and web hosting, effectively putting them in control of any app's success or failure.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. Republicans want legislation preventing the shutdown of free speech online. The Smithsonian has announced that 7 of its museums and the National Zoo will reopen in May.
D.C. has been a little grim since the Smithsonian shut down its museums and the National Zoo last March, then reopened for a bit, then closed again in November. But now they're announcing they're reopening in May.
I'm so excited that we're beginning to reopen a little bit.
It's a lot less dangerous than going to a bar.
First to reopen, National Air and Space Museum's Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy Center in Chantilly, Virginia, May 5th. On the 14th, it's the National Museum of African American History and Culture.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
In a dramatic scene last night, a coalition of the nation's damaged women staged a drunken, tear-soaked march on the Capitol just after 2 a.m. Jane Carmichael has more.
Thank you, Brooke. The damaged women began their protest yesterday afternoon, marching on the National Mall at about 4 p.m., and then marching away furious, saying they were done with Congress once and for all. But then they came back again late last night, insisting that someone in Washington listen to them for once. The late-night protests started with tearful apologies, but quickly moved to anger as marchers demanded that Congress pass a bill making it illegal to say you love someone and then up and leave as soon as there's one little problem.
Why are you ignoring us? Stop ignoring us! Why don't you hear me when I talk to you? Wipe the smirk off of your face. No, come back! Come back because we think that we want you to care about us.
I don't need to pay a therapist to tell me I'm unhappy! I know I'm unhappy!
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
That guy Zeus just now who said, Free Talk Live. I can't even say it as well as him. He's got a great voice. But he took my line. But I'll say it again. This is Free Talk Live. Our telephone number here is 603-283-6160 if you'd like to call in and join the conversation. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, and joining me...
It's Bonnie.
It's Bonnie.
It's Bonnie.
Okay. Thanks, Bonnie. Thanks for being here. We've been talking about this article from metro.co.uk about a father who has taken to homeschooling his kids and teaches them about guns and Bitcoin. So he's developed his own unlearn and relearn curriculum for his children, and he believes that to him, school is daycare. It's a place where adults take the babies while they worry about adult life. He says, I'm not a huge fan of the school system statewide or on a national level. And there's some pictures of him with his kids, and they're holding guns, and it's all very cute. I think they do a whole lot to dilute the mental progression of our children. I agree with this guy. I think they do a whole lot to dilute the mental progression of our children.
I agree.
When you take children and you put them in groups of, 15 to 50, and you make them do things like all stand up and pledge allegiance to a flag for liberty and justice for all. Now, just imagine, just substitute for a minute, if you will, any other entity than the United States of America and the flag, right? I pledge allegiance to the store that is called Walmart, and to the low, low prices for which they stand, one nation getting discounts, with shopping carts and parking lots for all, right? What's going to happen after 12 years of that? Well,
we couldn't live without Walmart. What are you talking about? What would we do for stores if we didn't have Walmart?
Yeah, you can't get rid of Walmart. Who would build the shopping centers if it wasn't for Walmart?
That would destroy everyone's jobs.
So at any rate, this man goes on to say, so I think it's absolutely a necessity that we take teaching our children into our own hands. Defending his firearms training, he added, my curriculum includes guns because violence can take place anywhere in the world at any given moment. I'm a firm believer that if you have guns in your house, an educated mind is a far greater thing than a wondering mind. Asked about guns, Derica, who loves Jim and has her own lucky bullet, said, if somebody was trying to kill me, or if somebody is trying to kill my father or my mom or my sisters or anybody that's my family members, I would shoot them. If somebody broke into my house, I would shoot them. She and Derek III can load and fire Glocks, Mac 11s, and even an Uzi submachine gun.
I can't do any of that.
I can load a Glock. It's fine. I don't own an Uzi submachine gun. Otherwise, I would know how to, do that as well. But, it doesn't matter. This guy is absolutely correct. An educated mind is a far better thing to have when it comes to guns and gun safety than somebody who hasn't been taught a thing.
That's just like what we've learned with alcohol. There's been studies that have proven that, other countries that have a lower alcohol age usually have less alcohol-related deaths and, alcohol problems where people are drinking every single day and, alcoholics, because they, at a young age, were like, oh, this is alcohol. Oh, this is what it does. Okay, well, that's cool. Instead of being like, oh, my God, I can't wait till I'm 21 and I get to try my first beer.
Yeah.
And you don't know what it's about and it's just, exciting because you're not allowed to mess with it and stuff.
Well, and public schools, as late as, I want to say, the 1950s, actually taught firearm safety, firearms training in public schools. You could bring your rifle to school with you because on, Wednesday, you had rifle safety and rifle training day in gym class.
One thing that is weird that I had in my school in Utah, I went to school the last year in Utah. We had, part of our gym was shooting arrows. We had arrows.
Archery, yes.
And that almost never happens anymore. Everybody else I know that went to school in Texas is like, what, you got to shoot arrows at school? And I was like, it was crazy.
Yeah, we did have archery in gym class in my middle school, I believe 8th grade. So it was before you go to high school or whatever. And it was fun. Everybody loved it. It was great. Compound bows and safety and, how to fire properly and how to, what kind of stance to have and the gloves and the weird things that you have to wear to get the grip properly to get them to fly straight. It was great.
That was the one part of gym class that was actually fun for me, but it's really hard. It looks so simple, you just pull it back and shoot it straight forward. No, it's super hard.
All right, so switching gears now, the overriding topic for me tonight has been Bitcoin and guns. This from the Washington Free Beacon. Cryptocurrency seeks to lure firearms companies amid the threat that banks will cut off the gun industry. With the looming threat that the financial industry may shut its doors to the gun industry, a Utah man, speaking of Utah, is hoping that his cryptocurrency geared toward purchasing firearms will take off. Since Democrats took full control of government last month, a proposed rule that would protect businesses such as the firearms industry has been scuttled, opening the possibility that companies will see their financial services cut off. Rob McNeely, a Second Amendment supporter, created the Universal Settlement Coin, or the TUSC. It's a cryptocurrency that focuses on providing the firearms industry with a tool that would allow gun stores and firearm-related manufacturers to provide goods and services completely outside of the banking industry.
That's just one reason that...
I'm sorry, that is great.
That's awesome. That's just one reason that we don't need an institution like the banking institution controlled by the government that is allowed to determine who gets to use what mediums of exchange and what businesses get to use the only approved medium of exchange. That's insane. I don't know if anybody who is behind that, then they're basically saying that the government gets to choose what businesses exist and don't.
Yes, they
That's
absolutely
crazy.
do. Absolutely do. Cryptocurrencies are increasingly seen as a viable alternative for purchasing goods. They exist completely outside of the banking system, which allows stores, suppliers, and customers to make transactions that cannot be cut off by banks worried about their reputation. The primary reason for getting cut off of services, right? It's all about reputation. Earlier this week, Tesla announced that it would start accepting Bitcoin, joining such companies as Microsoft, Home Depot, and Starbucks in accepting cryptocurrencies. McNeely created the currency 3 years ago in response to Operation Choke Point. This was an Obama administration policy which increased scrutiny on banks that did business with the firearms industry and caused many to cut ties with the industry completely. Though Operation Choke Point was ended in the first months of the Trump administration, many banks continued to deny services to the firearms industry due to pressure from gun control activists. This same exact thing, by the way, happens at least in Washington state, if not in every state that has legalized both medicinal and recreational marijuana. The banks will not bank their businesses. They just will not give them banking services. These businesses, while highly successful, we're talking about the growers, we're talking about the distributors, and we're talking about the retailers, have to deal in cash far more frequently than any other business, which makes them a higher risk target for things like robbery. Right? Because they can't bank in a traditional way. Now, I've been waiting for the marijuana industry in general to take up some sort of a cryptocurrency as a way for them to do exactly what this guy is proposing to do for guns with his cryptocurrency. The technology already exists. They just need to start dealing with it at all three levels of their business. With marijuana, it's the growing and the distribution and then the retail. And with guns, it would be ammunition, it would be manufacturing, distribution, and also retail.
And who is to say that it's not okay for somebody who created some code that people find value in to sell that, or, to use that to exchange for things that the banks don't want to mess with?
Yeah. It's just a better way of communicating value where you don't have to have any third party involved to say, oh, you must use our particular form of communication of value. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
AnyPay believes that Bitcoin is meant to improve your life, make it easier to do business, connect you with more people in the world at under a penny every time. That's kind of why we laugh at BTC. It used to be free the market, free the world. Now it's just hodl and have fun staying poor. That's not what the world needs. We need honest money that works for everyone. If you care, join us at anypayx.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is the call-in radio talk show broadcast live called Free Talk Live. The telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
It's Bonnie.
We've been talking about this article from the Free Beacon that says cryptocurrency seeks to lure firearms companies amid the threat that banks will cut off the gun industry. It's not an idle threat. One impacted company was Spike Tactical, a Florida gun manufacturer that was told by its bank to find services elsewhere and was cut off by e-commerce provider Shopify. Cole Lelou, the company's CEO, said, accepting cryptocurrency helps mitigate the threat of future disruptions.
Wow, that's so honestly funny that they said, find help elsewhere, and then they're laughing like, haha, there is no elsewhere. No banks are going to service you. And then, yeah, well, guess what? There's already a solution to that. It's called Bitcoin, peer-to-peer cash.
Joke's on you, banks. He goes on to say, I'd urge a lot of the gun companies to look at crypto, Lelou said. McNeely says his currency is especially suited for use in brick-and-mortar gun stores due to stable transaction fees and easy transfers. But cryptocurrency still has a long way to go in becoming the go-to currency for gun transactions. Mark Olivia, Director of Public Affairs at the National Shooting Sports Foundation, said the use of cryptocurrency isn't something his organization is focused on. We're focused on eliminating the banking discrimination policies that were allowed to remain in place when the Biden administration paused the fair access banking rule from publication, Olivia told the Free Beacon.
Well, they're going to have a rude awakening when they realize they can't just change the bank's mind about this, and they really just need to hop on the Bitcoin train. Well, Bitcoin
Cryptocurrency.
Cash. Yeah, crypto.
Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly.
That's so stupid. We're just going to negotiate with these terrorists, and instead of using this tool that perfectly solves the problem.
Absolutely. Let's go to Pat in Michigan. Pat, you're on Free Talk Live.
Good God, you just lit another fuse in my head, man. With this gun guy down here in Florida that started accepting crypto.
Yep.
The devil will always double down, and that's going to be the downfall. These libtards. They have no gun etiquette, gun safety, and therefore they always shoot themselves in the foot.
So to speak.
What I was thinking about earlier was, and not only this guy that's homeschooling his kids, but people's memories are so short. Just before World War II started, Great Britain had disarmed the entire island.
Oh, yeah.
Even the bobbies only carried sticks.
Yep, and they ran around and yelled things like "stop," or I'll yell "stop again."
And the whistles are going to stop you, right? But so anyway, when World War II started, they were begging us for anything that would throw a hunk of lead, and it might come down to that here. I mean, don't throw away your front stuffers because powder and ball might tell it all.
Yeah, indeed. And hey, thanks for the call tonight, Pat. I know somebody was telling me the other day that you can get the vintage style firearms, that is the front loads, as Pat is speaking of, without going through an agency like an FFL and that kind of a thing. I found that interesting because, old school technology, while vintage, is still functional. It's like...
Is this a gun?
Yeah. So vintage firearms, right? So think of flintlocks and that kind of a thing, right? Old school Revolutionary War style, where they had to load, some beads and firepower in through the front and stuff it down before they could fire one time.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I found that interesting. Let's move on to, is it June calling from Virginia?
Jill, Jill.
Oh, Jill. Hi, Jill. How are you?
Pretty well.
What's on your mind?
I'm calling about these executive orders that are put out. What in the world is that? I thought laws were supposed to be passed by the legislature, and there was discussion, and some of them would vote for, and some of them would vote against, and that would be passed. And maybe the governor would veto it, and maybe his veto would be sustained, and maybe it would be overridden, and then eventually it would become a law. Now what? Now we're having the chief executive just say, I'm issuing an executive order. How can they do that?
Well, it's easy. They pick up a pen and a piece of paper. They write words down on that piece of paper, and then they tell the people in law enforcement to make it so. And because the people in law enforcement have all the guns, other people, that's us, the citizens, just go along with it because, well, the people in charge said to.
Yep, and I think that if enough people were just resisting and not complying with the mask mandates and all the other executive orders, then they would have no power because you're right, the executive branches of states have just been completely stepping on the legislative branches, and there's just no checks and balances there. The checks could have been the citizens saying, yeah, we're not going to follow that and leave us alone.
It's turned the president into literally a tyrant because he has issued more executive orders than any other previous president. Seems like every new president, new president issues more executive orders than the previous one. And it's also created governors as micro-tyrants of their states because they've sort of given themselves the power to write these executive orders. I'm not sure how it all played out, Jill.
Yeah, it seems ridiculous to me. It doesn't seem constitutional.
Oh, I'm sure that it's not. And hey, thank you for the call tonight, Jill. We appreciate you. I don't know who started it, but like in politics, it's always a monkey see, monkey do thing. One governor gets away with, issuing one executive order, and the next thing you know, all 50 governors are issuing executive orders because they're like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And how they did it, whatever paperwork they filed, and however, it remains a mystery to me because I don't follow the minutia of politics because I already know it's a farce and they're going to do whatever they want to do.
I think whoever started it was the person whoever started government, because it's a fact that power corrupts, and this is exactly where it would lead to. If you give people power over other people, it's just going to keep getting greater and greater and greater, and people aren't going to be like, oh, let me give back some of this power. I'm the governor and I could exert this power, but instead I'm just going to not. That never happens. Instead, they only take more and more and more and more.
I had teased this at the first segment of tonight's program, but this is from Futurism.com. You can now 3D print an entire semi-automatic rifle at home. That's right. You can now print a 3D. You can now 3D print an entire semi-automatic rifle at home. The total cost, including the 3D printer, is about $350 US.
That's not that expensive.
Not at all. And considering, like, if you want to go buy one of these, it's like around double that, I think, or maybe $700 or something like that.
Wow, can you print the ammo?
I don't know if you can print the ammo yet, but I would be willing to bet somebody's working on that design already. This says 3D printed guns or functional firearms that can be mostly or entirely manufactured at home with a 3D printer are getting more sophisticated and more dangerous. For a long time, 3D printed guns were still quite slapdash. Fairly homemade handguns would break apart after firing once, and they served as more as a symbolic middle finger to government firearm regulations than an actual threat. But all that is about to change as they're getting steadily more advanced. We'll talk more about this coming up.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for tuning in and listening, everybody. This is Free Talk Live, the live radio call-in program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about anything that you want to. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
It's Captain's Gemini twin, Bonnie.
Ooh, you've given away our astrological signs. Now everybody's going to rush to their astrological websites and apps that they go to and go, Gemini's hosting radio shows.
They're going to find out if they're compatible with us. Yeah. Oh, no.
Well, if you do that, then perhaps you could also consider joining a whole bunch of liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground, located in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Forkfest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, but Forkfest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and that no one is in charge. All you have to do is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. And I can't think of a better place to celebrate Independence Day than around a bunch of other freedom-loving folks here in New Hampshire. And you don't have to be from New Hampshire. People come from all over the globe, all over the United States, all from Canada, Mexico. People really come from all over for these types of things. So you can also connect with other attendees there, or you can go to forkfest.party, where you can find the unofficial Telegram chat room and the unofficial forums. Again, links to those can be found at forkfest.party. Mark your calendars for June 28th through July 4th. We hope to see you there. I've been talking about this article from futurism.com where it says now a prominent 3D printed gun community plans to unveil the designs for a functional upgraded assault rifle early this year. Now, this was published on February 17th.
Oh, yeah. So has it been published yet? That's interesting.
That is a good question. I don't have the answer to that, at least in this article, but it's a great question. If you have some internet in front of you and want to look it up, feel free.
I hope the people didn't suicide themselves before they could release it.
Yeah, that's always a risk. The group called Deterrence Dispensed has an online community of thousands to which it shares gun blueprints and step-by-step instructions on how to build them, alongside lists of recommended printers and parts. Aside from those flimsy handguns, the group also designed a functional assault rifle called the FGC-9. Now, that's an acronym for the crude moniker F Gun Control 9mm, and you'll have to fill in the blank for that first F word there, which only costs about $100 to make, with the recommended $250 printer, for a total cost starting around $350. Most chilling? The gun is totally legal. Its barrel is made of metal, meaning it can be spotted by metal detectors, which is one of the technicalities that prevents the technology from being banned outright. According to Slate, but aside from that, these weapons are untraceable and allow people to circumvent other regulations like background checks, especially in countries with tighter gun control than the United States.
Well, what will we know about people's ex-wives' opinions on them before they get a gun?
Let's go to your calls and thoughts. Let's go to David in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Bonnie. I just like doing that.
You're mean.
You're doing
I'm not mean. That's not mean.
You do a poor impression.
Bonnie. What's the best I can do with my voice?
What's on your mind tonight, David?
Oh, we can't talk about that. We get thrown off the air.
All right. What would you like to talk about? You gave me a topic when I screened you.
Oh, yeah. Parental Alienation Awareness Day tomorrow, the 15th annual worldwide. Tomorrow, let's see, Sunday, April 25th.
Now, when I was a kid, I was really good at alienating my parents from me because, well, I could be annoying when I wanted to. Is that what you're talking about? What is parental alienation awareness?
Yes. It's the jig is up. As of tomorrow, everybody in the world will be aware that you did that to your parents, Captain.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just blabbed it over national radio, so, most of them will be aware already.
Right. Oh, you know what I should do? I should just, they say it so much better than I do. There's the last time I was on one of you, I think it was Aria asked for a website. I gave one website, so here's another one. It's PAAO and then USA.org, and that is Parental Alienation Awareness. And then what's the A for? I forget. It'll come up here in a second. They have a mission statement, one paragraph,
Couldn't say that word right.
and it says it so much better than I can. And then everybody will know what parental alienation is.
Here, I've got it. I've got it right here, David. Parental alienation, simply put, occurs when one parent turns a child against the other parent and his or her family. I've been through that many times. Parental alienation manifests as the systematic denigration of one parent by the other with the intent of disrupting what would otherwise be a loving parent-child bond. This behavior can accompany high-conflict marriages, but most often accompanies family separation or divorce, particularly where legal action is involved. Whether verbal or not, the behavior causes the child to be mentally manipulated or bullied into believing a loving parent is the cause of all their problems and or an enemy to be feared, hated, disrespected, and avoided. I've experienced this as a child myself, David.
Yes, and I think many other people have it. By looking at what I've seen on the internet, like Facebook groups and such, over the last 10 years, I would estimate that it's in the tens of thousands of people in the United States, and probably or possibly in the hundreds of thousands of people in the United States alone that have been affected by this. And if any people listening to us, when you read that description, they probably started to remember things in their own lives, not necessarily to them specifically, but to a friend or another family member that was involved in especially where there's a divorce or a separation, where the children lost contact or were kicked out of the lives, blocked from the lives of one parent or the other, or it happens to grandparents as well. When there's a divorce, all the time, one set of grandparents might continue to have contact with their grandchildren, and the other set of grandparents are completely kicked out of the lives of that child, depending on how the divorce went.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point, that it's not just, the direct parents of the child, but also the extended family.
It sounds like a symptom of people who have control issues, which is kind of the symptom that creates most problems in the world. Like a mom who doesn't like the dad, if they don't have like a really good reason to, and they're telling the kids that they shouldn't like the dad either. That's just a control issue. Like, you have issues.
And so I just want to make sure, David, Parental Alienation Awareness Day is tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah, tomorrow, April 25th. And it's every year, and I'm not positive whether it's always April 25th or if it's always on the third or fourth Sunday or whatever that is.
Sure.
I'm not positive of that.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, thanks for the call and bringing this up. I'm sure many folks will find it very interesting, and we do appreciate you, of course. It is very manipulative when one parent tries to make the other parent out to be this evil, no good person who's the cause of all of your troubles and all of your problems. It wreaks hell on a child's mind because they don't want to believe that. They shouldn't have to believe that, and parents shouldn't do that to their children. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
A new study finds most high school graduates are woefully unprepared for high school, and a bag of flour has a slave auction on its front. This is the Onion Week in Review. This week, Secretary of Labor Thomas Perez unveiled plans to boost the nation's struggling job market by giving every unemployed American a self-serve yogurt shop, saying that the frozen yogurt business model is robust, profitable, and that they've pretty much exhausted other options. Perez explained that owners will be responsible for stocking their own topping bars with items such as Oreo crumbles, minced kiwi, cashews, and gummy bears. Estimates indicate the country will need to increase daily consumption of frozen yogurt by approximately 2.3 gallons per person in order for the new stores to remain solvent. And in this week's local news, something is apparently going on between a mom and her friend. In other news, Taco Bell warns its employees against ever exposing their skin to its food. A sad man tears 2 bananas off of a larger bunch, and a new report finds everything you've ever wanted has been right in front of you all along.
This is the Onion News Network.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's the final segment of the Saturday night edition of Free Talk Live. The live call-in radio talk program where you could take control of the airwaves, talk about anything you want. We'll get to your calls and thoughts in just a moment. We are here 7 days a week, by the way, Monday through Friday. That's not 7 days a week. Monday through, well, Monday.
Yeah,
7 days
every
a week.
day.
7 to 10. I don't It's been a long day for me. At any rate, if you've missed any of our live programming that you'd like to hear again, you can find our archives over at freetalklive.com. If you enjoy this radio program and you like the hosts, you like the articles, you like the guests, you like the content, you enjoy talk from the perspective of peace, prosperity, freedom, and liberty, then please consider becoming an amplifier of this program. You can find out more over at amp.freetalklive.com. AMP, or AMP, stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And I want to thank Dan Krafzig tonight. He is a gold level amplifier, which means I think he gives $10 a month. Is it 15? I don't remember what the gold level is, but he gives more than the minimum we ask for is $5. That's the silver level. There's some perks for the different levels. So if you give 5 or 10 or 50 or whatever it is, there's some little perks that you get, including an amplifier only Facebook page and things of that nature. You can go find out more over at amp.freetalklive.com. The money goes directly to getting this program on more radio stations. We're currently on about 200 or so radio stations. We could be on more. We could be on 250. We could be on 300 or even more radio stations. It's all up to you. amp.freetalklive.com. Thank you again to Dan Krafzig for your contribution. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Just to wrap up this article from the futurism.com about the 3D printed semi-automatic gun. With the upgraded FGC-9 expected within the next few months. Again, this was written in February, so I don't know if it's out yet or not, but we'll keep an eye on this. It stands to reason that these homemade guns will only become more prevalent in society. There's no signs of things stopping, pseudonymous FGC-9 designer Ivan told Slate. Projects are only getting more and more ambitious. So again, you can now 3D print an entire semi-automatic rifle at home. The total cost, including the 3D printer, is around $350. So let's go to your calls and thoughts. We have Josie calling from Richmond. Josie, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, how are you? I have a lot of things to tell you. I'm not a computer person, but I've learned a few things. And one of them is an anti-vaccine attorney named Gregory Glazer. He was on the Caravan to Midnight. He was quite good. I don't do computers, but his website is informedconsent.com.
Oh, I've heard of this site.
Gregory Glazer. He might be a very good guest on your show.
Well, thank you.
For about the vaccines and all of that sort of thing. Everybody's saying, and nobody is saying a word about how to build up your immunity. And since I'm much older, I will tell you as an older person, even though I'm not a doctor, I've learned a few things on the holistic field. And one of the things is that when you can't taste or feel or smell, that indicates very clearly you don't have enough zinc.
Wow.
A zinc deficiency,
You lack, and the zinc is one of the important things when they take the hydroxychloroquine, you take it with zinc to raise your immune system. Now, I take the D3, and that's something you need to test for, and your numbers should be between 50 and 80. You don't want too much
What
or
is
too
the
little of
D3? So just for our listeners, what is the D3?
Vitamin D3.
Okay, got you.
And so you get a little finger stick and a doctor in the box, any doctor will tell you what their numbers are.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are too low, oddly enough, and so their immune system is low.
One thing that's really interesting about vitamin D is your body physically can't make enough of it by itself. It makes it by eating food with vitamin D in it or the sun, nothing else.
Absolutely. It's a sunshine vitamin, but most of us live indoors too much. The darker your skin, the more it doesn't penetrate. So those with dark skin may be more aware. Oh, by the way, the linking verb, smell and taste. You were talking about not smelling or taste. It's a linking verb, so it doesn't say the rose smells sweetly. It just smells sweet. It's the one time you don't need an ly after.
Very nice.
I've forgotten the phrase you used, but anyway, I just throw that in.
Hey, I want to say, but before you go on, Josie, I just want to say thank you for calling in and talking about this, because it's been one of my pet peeves about, we'll call it the system, whether it's the medical system or the government system, that nobody is talking about how to fortify your immune system.
Amen.
And so I thank you in advance. Go ahead, continue.
Not ever on the TV, and maybe a little bit on the radio. But I would just say that going back to guns, you've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first woman on a William and Mary rifle team, and that might be ever. It may not. I'm not sure. I don't know how you would probably go on an internet for that. But
nice.
When the publicity came out about it, this was in 1957. The Women's Athletic Association, not the men's, we had 3 meets, and we were about to go to VMI and have a match against them. And the Women's Athletic Association had me kicked off the team. So, you talk about the girls running, who are boys, really, and beating all the girls because their muscles and so on are men's muscles, even though they claim to be a girl. Well, here I was. It's the reverse. I was a woman. It was not a contact sport. Nobody said it was a men's team. And the Women's Athletic Association said, and, William Mary doesn't want to own up to it.
Yeah.
So I sent them all of the publicity that came out in the Richmond Times-Dispatch with a full-page picture and so forth. And it came out also in the NRA had a small thing in it, and the Sports Illustrated had the picture and the publicity. So I don't know how they could deny it, but they sure don't want to admit it.
Well, that's
William
awesome.
and Mary. So I don't know about the other schools, but I think I might have been the only first woman on any rifle team in the country. That's a question. I'm not sure about that.
Did
but
public
I was for sure
teach rifling when you were coming up through school?
We had. The boys could. They had guns that they could go hunting on the weekends and so on. That was all done in the mostly the boys' dorms. I never did.
Okay.
I just went with a team, and I liked the idea of being able to shoot against another team sport. I was looking forward to receiving my William and Mary letter.
Sure.
Wow.
Only at that time, only men could get a team letter, and they had a special dance. Only the lettermen could invite their dates.
Right, they were called lettermen. They weren't called.
Then I would be able to do the same and invite a boy to the Letterman dance. But, they had me kicked off before that could happen.
Wow.
So that's that story.
There's so many things that older people have told me about that, like older women have told me about that, like I couldn't do this back when I was your age, and I couldn't I couldn't open a bank account without a husband and that type of stuff. But I didn't know that. That's really interesting. Almost makes me want to buy a gun.
Well, yeah. And besides, these days you don't know what's going to happen with the policeman, so you better have some means of protection.
Indeed. Hey, Josie, thank you so much for the call. Call back anytime. We appreciate you calling into Free Talk Live. Have a great night.
I just thought that the information would be helpful about the disease and how to build your immune system. And once you've done that, you don't have to worry about the masks, which don't work, or the any of the, unless if you do happen to get a mild case. But you don't want to have a lot of white bread and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those prepared foods, and go to Dr. Joel Wallach's website on criticalhealthnews.com. He is talking about the gluten that makes your immune system down. Also, that's another part of it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Josie. You have a great night. What a great call. So many people are not talking about how to fortify your immune system, like particularly with the COVID and all that kind of thing.
Yep. I know gluten inflames your brain, and inflammation is bad for your immune system, which is why turmeric is great for you because it reduces inflammation.
We are out of time. Thanks, everybody, for listening. This has been the Saturday night edition of Free Talk Live. Peace.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com. There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Questioning Authority is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.